You can use many negative adjectives that would accurately describe the elites in this country. But unintelligent would not be one of them. They understand that one of the ways to galvanize the public into action or to subvert them into thinking a certain way is by the entertainment media. That is why 6 corporations control over 90% of all the media you consume. According to a Gallup poll, almost 50%, half of the people who took part in the poll, did not believe the mainstream media. Understanding this, they are finding new mechanisms to get their message across. They are using late night comedy shows, daytime talk shows, entertainers, celebrities, in order to get their point across. But it's more subtle. The propaganda is not all in your face for you to see. It is more subtle. It is sprinkled in within entertainment TV. You grow to like the person. You grow to enjoy the person's content. And as a result, what they say has more of an effect on what you think. Because most of what you think is in your subconscious mind. But the messenger is important. My only agenda is truth. I don't care who is saying it. If it's a person I disagree with 99.9% of the time, if they speak truth, I support them in that instance. But most people, they're fans of someone. They pick a side. They pick a team. And so when something supports their team, they support it. When something makes their side look bad, they oppose it. That is why you do not take sides. You do not pick teams. You do not become fans. You just have certain viewpoints, and that is the way you go about it. But there's actually a memo that proves my point about Ellen DeGeneres being a deep state puppet. A draft media policy memo requested by Hillary Clinton recommended that the State Department utilize special media to get its foreign policy message across, a newly released State Department email reveals. The 2009 memo urged Clinton to use her star power. Hillary Clinton, yeah, she really has a lot of star power, right? The most unlikable candidate ever. And singled out shows including Oprah, Ellen, The View, and others to be used to amplify and deliver messages that advance policymaking. The memo stated that Ellen DeGeneres is a big supporter of Hillary Clinton and is willing to use her platform to help promote the agenda of the new Secretary of State. The line between daytime talk shows and hard news becomes more and more blurred as headlines in one realm make headlines in the other, wrote Jim Chon in a 3-page memo dated January 18, 2009. Chon served as spokesperson for specialty media for Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign. The memo, marked as a draft, was addressed to Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's transition team and was titled Draft Memo, Specialty Media in the Age of Secretary Clinton. It contained in a February 5, 2009 email that Chon sent to Clinton aide Huma Abedin. The email was part of a new batch of state emails released last week in response to a Judicial Watch lawsuit. In the memo, Chon highlighted the importance of specialty media as opposed to more political news outlets. He wrote, "These outlets can create vital support for official policy or pending legislation among key domestic constituency groups, but also create momentum for policy abroad. As the media environment continues to become more and more globally interconnected, it'll be critical for the leadership of the State Department to leverage all of these media opportunities to amplify and deliver messages that advance policymaking. Schoen recommended that Clinton utilize daytime talk shows with large female audiences. He singled out the following shows. Oprah. In the world of daytime talk, Oprah continues to dominate, and in the past few years, she has tackled many important foreign policy issues that are often ignored by mainstream press. Ellen. While Ellen does not spend many shows dealing with serious foreign policy issues, she does use her show to support important causes and raise money for them. Further, her show is syndicated internationally to 10 countries, including Canada, Australia, and India. She is a big supporter of Hillary Clinton and is willing to use her platform to help promote the agenda of the new Secretary of State. The View. What The View lacks in international distribution, it makes up for by creating a media echo chamber based on the Hot Topics segment. While foreign affairs have only been an occasional topic on the show, now with Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, that level is expected to spike dramatically. The reference to The View as creating a media echo chamber may be in response to a New York Times article which quoted a senior Obama administration official who used similar phraseology in describing the alleged use of the news media to sell the Iran nuclear deal to the American people. Meanwhile, the memo to Clinton also highlighted the importance of entertainment shows like Entertainment Tonight, Access Hollywood, Extra, and Inside Edition. Also mentioned were late-night talk shows such as Late Night with David Letterman, The Tonight Show, and The Daily Show. So there you have it. And Ellen also had a show with the all-female cast from Ghostbusters and Hillary. But late-night talk shows are now being used as propaganda to promote the agenda of the powers that be. There was a recent story that came out where Ellen DeGeneres was sitting at a baseball game with George Bush. In response to backlash where people were criticizing her, she responded vigorously by saying, "I can be with people I disagree with." Now, DeGeneres supported Obama in 2008 and 2012. My question to DeGeneres would be, what was so much different about Obama and Bush other than the R and D that sat beside their respective names? Bush and Obama both appointed Robert Gates as their Secretary of Defense. They both increased troop levels in foreign wars. In 2006, in an effort to secure a failing Iraq, President Bush called for a surge of 20,000 more troops to Iraq, which is a 15% increase, which was a 15% increase that time. Under Bush, U.S. presence in Afghanistan rarely reached 35,000. Obama ordered 21,000, 60% more troops than Bush in 2009. Both chose Ben Bernanke as the Federal Reserve Chairman. Both endorsed massive corporate bailouts. Both oversaw record national debts. So my question to DeGeneres would be, how are Bush and Obama so much different? When Bush was in office, Henry Paulson, who was the Secretary of the Treasury in the Clinton administration, and he also helped create Citibank after signing the legislation that made it possible for commercial banks to use regular people's investments. They repealed Glass-Steagall. But he was the head of the Fed in New York. Under Obama, he was the Secretary of the Treasury. All these people are all interconnected. So DeGeneres probably got a talking point in order to make it look like that she was with someone she disagreed with. Again, I'm pretty sure her understanding of policy probably isn't very deep. What about that clown Jimmy Kimmel? Notice Jimmy Kimmel used to be apolitical. He would once in a while take light-hearted jabs at particular political candidates, but all of a sudden he's become very, very political. Behind the scenes, Kimmel and his team were in touch with healthcare officials, charities, and advocacy groups, multiple sources told the Daily Beast. He was also in touch with Schumer, who provided technical guidance and info about the bill, as well as stats from various think tanks and experts on the effects of the Graham-Cassidy bill. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar, the Graham-Cassidy bill was a bill that was going to be voted on in the Senate in order to repeal the Affordable Care Act. The 3 episodes in which Kimmel tore apart both Cassidy and helped galvanize public and political opposition to the legislation. According to sources, Kimmel, and these are people on his own show, he even admitted it, his own officials who helped produce the show admitted this. Kimmel and Schumer had been in touch periodically over the last several months as prior legislative efforts were considered and their conversations continued. So there you have it. Jimmy Kimmel gets his talking points from Chucky Schumer. A late-night comedy host is trying to galvanize public opinion. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to think either way, but the point I'm trying to make is that they are now subverting the news, and they are making it blurry to distinguish news versus entertainment. This is emblematic of the way the system has been working for a while. There was even an old segment where Jim Garrison, who was an attorney general that did not believe the official JFK story, he was probably the early JFK truther, leader of the movement. One of the pioneers, one of the OGs of the movement, was on Johnny Carson. And Johnny Carson was trying to debunk the statements that Jim Garrison was making. So Johnny Carson was doing the same job. What these late night talk show hosts are, they are jesters, trying to make their audience laugh like Pavlov dogs, instead of really getting into deep policy. But they are doing their gesturing for the king, which is their large corporate owners. That is why knowing is half the battle. But once you know, just realize that while you can enjoy the entertainment, I mean, I never thought late night talk shows were funny. They'll literally just say one word and then the audience will go, ah! It's like they're forced to laugh. That canned laughter just makes it fake. There was even a segment which was emblematic where Stephen Colbert was like, Trump just fired Comey, and all the audience started going, whoa! He's like, no, don't clap, because they are mind-controlled morons, brain-dead zombies, like a Pavlov dog. They don't do any deep research, they just giggle and laugh, because that's what they're told to do. But the talking points that you hear on Jimmy Kimmel, or John Oliver, or Trevor Noah, is exactly the same as you hear on CNN or NBC. But they know people aren't watching those anymore, so they have to change their distribution of their talking points. And then people regurgitate those talking points. That forms their worldview, and the multinational corporations continue to get richer off advertisers.